Accused of breaching the CIA, thousands of classified documents exposed, the Director of National Intelligence compromised. On the surface, America's intelligence agencies are the most secure institutions on Earth. Billions spent on cybersecurity, the best minds in the world protecting their systems. If they fail, national security crumbles. Agents die, operations collapse. And just now, someone has gained access to the CIA director's personal email account. He's not a Russian spy, not a Chinese agent, just a 5-year-old kid in his bedroom using his parents' Wi-Fi. This teenager didn't just hack the CIA, he humiliated them over and over again. And the government will hunt him down ruthlessly. It's the year 2015, a quiet suburb in Leicester, England. This is Kane Gamble. He's 15 years old. While other kids are obsessing over video games and social media, Kane is glued to something different. Forums, chat rooms, hacker communities. He's fascinated by Anonymous, the hacktivist collective that's been taking on corporations and governments. He studies their methods, their philosophy, their attacks. Kane isn't writing complex code or exploiting zero-day vulnerabilities. He's learning something far more powerful, the art of manipulation. Soon, it won't be video games keeping him up at night. It'll be the thrill of breaking into the most secure systems in the world. And 3,000 miles away, in North Carolina, another teenager is about to join him. We'll call him Andrew. He's 16. His real identity was never fully revealed because he was a minor. Together, they'll form a group with one of the most ridiculous names in hacking history. Crackus with Attitude. Yes, that was their actual name. And they're about to pull off something that will shake the American intelligence community to its core. October 2015. Kane and Andrew are looking for their next challenge. They set their sights on the absolute top. CIA Director John Brennan. Now, you might be thinking, how does a teenager hack the director of the CIA? Surely it requires military-grade exploits, nation-state resources, years of training? No, it requires a phone call. Here's what Kane did. He called Verizon customer service, but he didn't call as Kane Gamble, 5-year-old from Leicester. He called as a Verizon technical support employee. He knew the internal jargon. He understood the procedures. He sounded confident, professional, legitimate. The real Verizon employee on the other end had no reason to suspect anything. Within 20 minutes, Kane had John Brennan's personal phone number, his home address, his account security PIN, and his email address. And here's where it gets almost comical. The director of the Central Intelligence Agency was using an AOL email account. AOL, the service your parents used in 1998. Armed with Brennan's personal information, Kane calls AOL customer service, another performance, another convinced employee, another password reset, and just like that, he's inside. Kane is now reading the CIA director's personal emails. He finds security clearance applications containing sensitive personal data, contact information for hundreds of intelligence officials, private communications about ongoing operations, social security numbers, home addresses of covert operatives. But Kane doesn't stop at Brennan. Over the next few weeks, he hits James Clapper, Director of National Intelligence, the man who oversees all 17 U.S. intelligence agencies, Jay Johnson, Secretary of Homeland Security, the Department Protecting America from Terrorist Attacks, Mark Giuliano, Deputy Director of the FBI. Yes, they hacked the FBI's second-in-command while he was actively investigating them. Each time, the same method, a phone call, confident lies, human vulnerability, no sophisticated malware, no expensive equipment, just psychology and a phone. In total, they compromised over 30 high-ranking U.S. government officials, and then they did something even crazier. Most hackers stay in the shadows. They steal data quietly, sell it on the dark web, disappear. Kane and Andrew, they wanted the world to know. They started tweeting. Screenshots from Brennan's email account, classified documents, contact lists. They contacted WikiLeaks. They leaked documents to journalists at the New York Post, Motherboard, Vice. They weren't just hackers anymore. They were activists, trolls, performers. At one point, Kane accessed John Brennan's home internet and TV service. While Brennan was sitting in his living room watching television, Kane hijacked the screen and displayed a fake FBI raid notice. Imagine that. The director of the CIA, in his own home, being trolled by a teenager from England. Kane tweeted at Brennan's wife, "We're in your emails, sweetie." He threatened Brennan's daughter, saying he had a present for her. This wasn't harmless exploration anymore. This was psychological warfare. The media exploded. CIA director hacked by teens. High school students breached top security officials. How did kids access America's secrets? The US government was humiliated, embarrassed on the world stage, and they wanted blood. The FBI launched one of the largest manhunts in cyber history. The Secret Service joined in. Interpol coordinated internationally. They had one mission: find these kids, make an example of them. But Kane and Andrew weren't making it easy. The hackers weren't amateurs. They knew how to hide. They used VPNs to mask their locations, encrypted messaging apps, proxy servers routing through multiple countries, burner phones that they'd use once and destroy. Every time the FBI got close, the trail went cold. But the feds had resources, unlimited resources. They monitored dark web forums, they infiltrated hacker chat rooms, they analyzed metadata from every public post Kane and Andrew made, and slowly, patterns emerged. Kane couldn't resist bragging. He gave interviews to journalists. He posted on Twitter constantly. He wanted the attention. That was his first mistake. Despite using VPNs, investigators noticed something. Kane had a routine. Certain times of day he was active. Certain times he went silent. Behavioral patterns, sleep schedules, the kind of details that accumulate over months. That was his second mistake. And then there was trust. Kane was working with other hackers, sharing techniques, celebrating victories together. But one of them was talking to the FBI. That was his final mistake. February 9th, 2016, 5:47 a.m., Leicester, England. A joint operation between British police and the FBI raids Kane Gamble's family home. Kane is asleep. His computers are running, chat logs still open, evidence everywhere. They seize 4 computers, 3 hard drives, 2 phones, hundreds of pages of printed documents, a detailed timeline of every hack. Kane didn't encrypt anything, didn't delete anything, didn't even try to hide it. He thought he was untouchable. 3 months later, U.S. authorities arrest Andrew in North Carolina. The group is finished. April 2018, Old Bailey Criminal Court, London. Kane Gamble stands before a judge. He's 18 now, but he's being tried for crimes he committed at 15. The prosecution is brutal. They argue Kane terrorized government officials, endangered covert operatives, compromised national security operations, caused psychological trauma to victims and their families. They show emails where Kane threatened Brennan's daughter, messages where he mocked security officials, evidence of him bragging about his access to classified information. The prosecution wants him destroyed. Kane's defense tells a different story. They present a psychological evaluation. Kane has autism spectrum disorder. He struggles with social cues, with understanding consequences, with processing the real-world impact of his actions. To him, it was all a game, points on a scoreboard. He never considered that real people could be hurt. Kane writes a letter to the court. "I didn't think about what I was doing. I was showing off. I wanted recognition from the hacker community. I wanted to feel powerful. I was stupid. I was immature. I'm sorry." The judge deliberates. Kane Gamble is sentenced to 2 years in a young offender institution. If he'd been an adult, he would have faced 15 to 20 years in federal prison. Andrew, his American accomplice, gets 18 months probation because he cooperated, because he was younger, because he stayed quieter. But the real damage wasn't to Kane and Andrew. The real damage was to America's intelligence community.